Hi, I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard, and I've got Truman here, and we're testing out the YouTube live streaming. We're planning to do some cool new live streams coming soon. So to make sure that it works, we've got to try it out at home and make sure that you can see us. So Truman's right now in a cuddly mood because he's gotten his meal and he did some flying outside, and he's in a relaxed mood and wants to just hang out right now. Hey, cutie. Cutie. So I guess let me know once people start joining. If we get any comments, just shout it out. Because the goal right now is to see if the quality is decent, to see how this gets published, how searchable it is, how many people tune in, what kind of feedback we get. Want to iron out all the kinks before we do this on the road from some interesting places with a handful of parrots. Not so easy to be messing around with the camera settings and figuring out how to set up the phone when you got parrots all over you demanding your attention. Huh, German? Truman's all fluffed up and cuddly right now. Not too often. Usually he wants to fly around and explore and do his own thing. So it's only once in a while that he gets to do it.
Any tips for getting a Senegal parrot?
Tips for getting a Senegal parrot. Well, one thing I can say is if you're in the U.S., especially on the West Coast, Ginger's Parrots Rescue is an incredible source for a Senegal. Even if you don't get your parrot from Ginger's Parrots, just to visit and see so many different Senegals, like you get to really understand what the species is like. You get to be like, wow, they're all the same about these things. Oh man, all of them have a different personality when it comes to these things. So you really get to understand Senegals by seeing a lot of them in one place. How many people do we have joining now?
30?
30 people. Wow, cool. That was quick. So those of you joining the live stream, I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard, and I've got Truman the Cape Parrot here, and we're just testing out the live stream capability. Got some cool things that we want to do in the near future, do some more live streams, but first we got to iron out all the kinks and make sure that the app is working right, that the broadcast is okay, the quality is decent. So please do submit your comments about, how's the quality, how smooth is it, does it make sense, is the camera shaky? Anything you can tell us will help us when we go and do some of our upcoming real live streams. And in the meantime, other than just yammering on about the live stream, I will answer a couple questions here and there. Got Truman, my helper here, and he's in a cuddly mood. He went flying outside and had a nice meal, so he's all relaxed and cuddly right now and just wants some beak scratches and head scratches and kisses. Hey, cutie. Ooh. So do we have any more comments or questions to go over? Well, please do send your comments so we can help us figure out how the comment section works, how quickly they come in, how we're going to be able to answer the questions live as they come in when we do some of our upcoming events. I think Truman's too tired and too lazy to do any tricks or flying or any performance right now, so he's just performing by being cute and fluffy.
Can you sniff, Truman?
Hey, Truman. Well, his feathers actually pretty clean right now. He usually smells like a monkey's butt, but that's because he doesn't take the best care of himself. But when we get him outside, I think he gets really cleaned up in the sun. The air just goes through his feathers. The sun cleans him up. He smells good after being outside, but if he doesn't go out for a while and doesn't take a shower, he can be a bit of a stinker. He's not gonna talk now either. He's just too into this. He's like, no, more. I'm not letting me stop. So how's the broadcast quality? Is the information coming through? Is the voice and the video synced? is it coming through like choppy, or is it high quality? Right now I'm on my home Wi-Fi. It better be good quality. I'm a little bit worried about what it's going to be like when I get out around the city with the birds, and just going off the cell service. But like I said, just trying to work out all the kinks right now, and I have some cool live streams planned later on this week.
How to make a parrot busy?
How do you make a parrot busy? Well, you give them lots of things to do. You give them a tree stand with a lot of toys, and Truman's a real busy bird. He likes to climb around, play with all his toys, and check everything out. So I make and sell these new birch tree stands, and they're really just a platform to get your bird busy. So just the tree itself isn't the source of busyness, but all the activities and things you could put on that tree can help keep that parrot busy. And when they're busy playing with their toys, that's great for that. That's part of having a well-behaved parrot. That means that's time when they're not chewing their feathers, they're not screaming, and they're not bothering you. They have their own things to pay attention to and play with and take care of. Truman, you want to go check out your toys? I'll help you get started. Come here. You know what's on there? You want to go pop off some of your beads? Want to go get yourself some beads to play with? There you go. All right. Hi, Mary. Said I met you guys at Bird Paradise when I bought my Myers Maisie home. She just turned 2. And let's see what else. Thunder the Fox says, sorry for repeating. Any tips on taming my cockatiel? He's already kind of tame. I mean, he eats millet from my hand, nibbles my face, but I'd love to get to the point where he goes on my finger. I would recommend target training. So taming is one thing, but when you use target training, you can teach that parrot to follow the target stick. They get so busy with the game, they get focused on the stick, that little by little you lead them closer and closer to your hand, and eventually they'll loyally follow that target stick on your hand. So using millet and some target training is a great way to get a cockatiel used to your hands. Then you got to be patient. You got to give them some time. It's not going to happen all in one day. So it takes a little while. You can learn more about target training on the Trained Parrot blog. I got a few videos. And of course, the Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots has a lot of information. It comes with a free clicker and target stick when you order the book from my site. Kamka Arian asks, how old are your birds? Well, this right here, this is Truman. He's an 8-year-old Cape Parrot. Rachel's a 6-year-old blue and gold macaw, and Keely is my 10-year-old Senegal Parrot. Those 2 birds were flying really hard outside in my yard for their flight training session, so they're tired. They're like having a rest. Truman didn't fly as much, so we took him out for this live stream. Let's see if we can get into some more comments here. Lily Mae Sadie asks, my 9-year-old Gala is terrified of a harness. Do you have any tips on getting him used to it? The thing is about harness training, it's actually one of the more advanced topics that I teach, and I definitely have a lot of information for it. Problem is, there's no short, easy answer. The shortest thing I can tell you is you can't upset the bird with it. You cannot force the bird into it. You can't make the bird dislike it. So anything you do that makes the parrot uncomfortable and upset with the harness is going to mess up the bird's relationship with the harness. So that's the easiest thing I can tell you is don't ruin your bird's relationship with the harness by being mean or forceful or pushy or making the bird get upset about it. And then how to make it positive, that takes a few weeks or months. There's a lot of training involved. It's more than I can cover in a few minutes here chatting. So I've got my book and my harness training DVD that will teach you how you can do that. Might have some more harness sessions or seminars in the future, but can't cover that right now. Any healthy food recommendations? Any tips for food treats? Well, the thing about treats is that it's really got up to you what your parrot likes. So you really got to determine what your parrot likes. Each parrot has a different personality. Some of them like nuts, some of them like seeds, some of them like fruits. So the best thing to do is give them a mix of different things and see which ones they pick out, and then use that as treats for your training. Gary says, I'm getting a hand-reared Senegal at the end of August. Any tips for when I bring him home, please? Oh, well, congratulations. It's really always exciting to get a new parrot, and take it easy, enjoy that bird while it's a baby when you bring it home. But a suggestion I have for you is it's difficult. It's difficult to make a good impression, but it's easy to make a bad impression. It's easy to do something that overwhelms or scares the parrot or is uncomfortable. So the one thing you don't want to do is make a loud noise, make a sudden move, or do something that will startle or upset the parrot. So when you bring a new parrot home, assume that it's scared of everything. Assume that anything you do will be too much for it. So talk through everything you do. Move slow, take it easy. Let the parrot have a chance to get used to looking at you and used to its surroundings and environment. And you don't have the chance of making a bad first impression. So avoid a bad first impression, and then the good impression will happen over the days, weeks, and months as you have the parrot. It's a lifelong experience making a good impression. Just avoid making a bad first impression because it's really hard to overcome those. Can I free fly with a green cheek conure? I would recommend against it. It's too easy to lose a parrot outside, so I would prefer that that you avoid free flight, especially with the smaller parrots. But really, it's not something that other than professional trainers should even be considering. For people who keep parrots as pets, free flight is just too dangerous. Hey Truman, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Hey cutie, what's your name? What's your name? That's not your name. What's your name? That's right. And who's your friend? Who's your friend? Gilly's your friend. What? You want some water? All right, Truman, here, go enjoy that. That's Bait Bite. Who makes those? What's that company that makes the big bites? But these guys like them as a treat every now and then. They're pretty bulky. That's a lot of food for a little parrot like that, so we try not to give them too many. African Horsewoman says, hello Truman, I've acquired a young Jardines and I'm absolutely in love with him. His name is Rafiki. Well, Truman is a big cousin of the Jardines. They look pretty similar. They're bulky and stout birds, but I think the Cape has an even more enormous beak and a even more odd shape. But I love those Jardines as well. They're kind of like if you take a Senegal parrot and a Cape parrot and find something in between. So for those of you joining us, this is our first live stream from Parrot Wizard, and got Truman the Cape Parrot out here with us. We're just trying to test the live stream capabilities and see how the system works. We're planning some cool new live streams this week, but I really appreciate your feedback about how the quality is coming through. Is the sound easy to hear? Is the video quality okay? Camera's not too jumpy. Trying to iron out the details so that when we do some outdoor live streams around the city with our parrots, that you'll be able to see it okay. Brian vlogs all day asks, what type of cage for sun conures? Any suggestions? I would say the important thing is to have the most important thing is to make sure you have the right bar spacing. Everyone's going to tell you get the biggest cage you can afford, and by all means, as big of a cage as you can get is great, but make sure you don't go so big that the bar spacing is dangerous for the parrot. For a sun conure, 5/8 is really the max you should do. So if you could conceivably buy a macaw cage for a sun conure, that would seem like a great idea, except that it could get its head stuck in the bars, and that could be very dangerous. So the biggest 5/8 bar spacing cage that you can come afford is a good idea. Video's a little fuzzy. Okay, how's the sound? Is it easy to hear me? We're in a quiet place right now. We're at home. When we're outside in a noisier place, I hope it'll work out okay. Any tips for green cheek conure? Green cheeks are great little birds. They're actually really trainable. I call them the mini Senegal parrot because I found that Senegal parrots are just very, very good at training. Not just Keely. Any Senegal parrot I've met is very capable of training and very, very just good at paying attention and learning quickly. And green cheeks are very much like that. They just love training. They figure it out so quick. And they get so into it. Like the bigger parrots, the grays, Amazons, macaws, they're a little bit more lazy and they overthink things a little bit. But smaller parrots like green cheeks and Senegals, they just pay attention to what you're teaching them and just learn right there and then. They're great for training. Okay, I think Truman's getting into a playful mood. He's probably going to start playing with his toys here. Truman, you want to go check out your toys? Right, let's turn this tree around and pull out and see your favorites. All right, Truman, you want to go pop some beads? He likes climbing around this ladder and popping the beads off, so let's see if he gets into it right now. Here you go, get your balance. Go find yourself something to play with, Truman. Truman just loves monkeying off on his tree. He's definitely the most playful of our three parrots. He'll find himself a toy or something to play with anytime. Keely and Rachel, on one hand, they train real good and they fly real good, but on the other hand, they get kind of lazy and don't really want to play with that much. Whereas Truman really gets into his toys. He'll break anything. Rip right through a wiffle ball. He'll chew up these pieces. Here, Truman, you wanna get one of those? How can I discourage my boyfriend's Hans McCaw from biting? He's getting real nasty with how he bites, but you can see he's having fun. Note, he's very spoiled. Well, you kind of answered your question there. Well, first of all, when you spoil a parrot, they've got less incentive not to bite you. They got everything they want, and they've got little to lose when they're so spoiled. But on the other hand, you don't focus on how to get them not to bite. That's the mistake that everyone makes. Everyone wants to think about, you bite me, and this is what I will do to you because you bit me. And that's the wrong way of thinking about it. Parrots bite because of a whole lot of different reasons, but what it really comes down to is that if you make your relationship such with your parrot that your parrot is just comfortable with you and wants you to do the things you want to do with it, so touching it, stepping up, putting it on your shoulder, taking it off your shoulder, putting it in the cage, if the parrot wants to do all the things you naturally do as part of your daily routine, the parrot has no reason to even want to bite you. So if I ask Truman to step up for me, he steps up, he's got no reason to bite you. He wants to hang out. I can give him kisses, I can put him on my shoulder, but I can just as well say, hey Truman, come on, come off my shoulder, no problem. If he wants to go along with everything that I want to do, he's got no reason to bite. So Truman never bites me, Keely doesn't bite me, Rachel doesn't bite me, my birds don't bite me because they're happy to go along with the things that I want to do with them. And that's the important key element. It's not about what you do about the biting, it's what you do to create a great relationship with your parrot and make a great environment for your parrot so that they're happy and healthy living in your home, and then they have very little reason to bite you or anyone for that matter. All right. Do you have any tips for keeping my bird's attention while training? I find he gets easily distracted. It's a great question, and there's two things that I recommend for this. And the first, one moment, is using a parrot training perch during training, like this one. And the height is adjustable. You can set the height of the parrot, get them focused on you. I like to keep them just a little bit below my chin because it makes it easier for me to see the parrot while I'm training. It makes it not too awkward for my eyes. And by having a distraction-free perch, that eliminates a lot of distraction. So this tree is a great place for Truman to play. But his mind goes a little bit wild. He's like, ooh, that's red, that's purple, I want to play with this, I want to chew that up. And his mind isn't quite there for training. So if I'm going to try to train him on his tree, or if I'm going to try to train him in his cage, he will get distracted naturally. So by having a distraction-free training perch in a distraction-free room, so I'm going to take them to a room where there's not too much other stuff going on. Then the bird can focus on me, and we can do our training. What do? That's where patience and practice comes in. When you start building up a routine and every morning at 8 a.m. the bird's like, ooh, if it's starting to feel like it's training time and the bird's in the mood for training, they'll go a little longer than yesterday. So if yesterday you got 5 targets out of them and today you got 6, tomorrow you'll get 7 and then 8 or 10, or you'll be able to go 5 minutes next time and then 10 minutes. And before you know it, you can train for 20 or 30 minutes straight. But it doesn't happen all at once. You really have to build up your bird's stamina and interest by training. So Truman's not really interested in training right now. He already flew outside and had a great time, so he wanted to go back to his tree and goof off and play with his toys. All right, are there any other questions that we need to go over? Hey, Truman, give me a kiss. Thank you. And check this out right here. Truman's got a little pin feather right here on his head. Come here. You're going to let me open your pin feather? You don't want your pin feathers scratched? Right here. Feel that? Yeah. No? Alright. Well, the first thing about pin feathers is don't try to open them if your parrot doesn't want you to. You know, they know if it feels right to them or not. And he doesn't seem too interested in this. I'm going to leave it alone. And maybe in a day or two, I'll say, hey, you want me to scratch pin feathers? And he'll say, yeah, open that for me, and he'll enjoy it. Why does my African Grey talk a lot? Could be different things. First of all, African Greys tend to be really shy, and they usually don't talk in front of people. So maybe your bird is talking all day when you're not home, and the moment he hears you in the next room, he quiets up. So first of all, pay attention to whether or not your Grey is talking when you're not around, because a lot of them will secretly talk and not give you any sign of it. If that's not happening, could be the environment. You could try talking to your Grey more. But the truth is, not every parrot learns to talk. Like, Keely and Truman aren't that talkative. Keely just says 2 different words. Truman says maybe, like 10? What do you think, 10 words? About 10. Rachel's a pretty good talker for macaw. She knows about 10. So it kind of varies around, not just the environment that the bird is raised in, but also the personality of the individual bird. It's just like, you know, just because some people can be great musicians doesn't mean every person is going to be a great musician. It just means that some people can develop their possibility to become a talented musician, while others might never learn to play the piano or sing. Hey Michael, how long do the Jardines make the attention baby noises for? Mine is 5 months old and still making the baby begging noises. It goes on for about the first year. After about 12 or 18 months, that stuff subsides. Truman was beeping and making the begging noises while he was a baby. I've also noticed that the parrots go through a weird transition phase during their adolescence, around 2-3 years old. Kind of depends on the species and the bird, where they kind of go back to being a baby for a while, and then they kind of snap out and become an adult. Like, they have this confusion phase where they're going back and forth between it, so that can vary too. Want a head scratch? Now Truman wants his head scratches. All right, want to read any more comments to me? Come here, Joey. All right. Ooh. Hey, Truman, look, that's you on the shirt. Who's that? That's you. Ooh. Come here. We're going to take a look at you on the shirt, Truman. Is that you? All right, come here, buddy. Woo! So for those of you tuning in, it's the first Parrot Wizard live stream. We're testing out some of our equipment, checking out how it's going to work. Right now we're just doing it in the comfort of my home with a Wi-Fi connection. Trying to make sure that everything's smooth, that the audio quality is good. Appreciate any feedback on how the technical quality is coming through. And once we work out all the kinks and bugs, we intend to try to do a little bit more live streams with the parrots out and about in New York City in the coming weeks. So be sure to tune into those future live streams, but also make sure you're following me on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/trainedparrot. So I'm Parrot Wizard on YouTube, Trained Parrot on Facebook. Make sure you follow that page, because we're going to be announcing our schedule when we plan to be live on the Facebook page. I'm not sure if I have a way to let you know in advance on YouTube if we're coming up or not. If anyone knows that there's a way to send out invitations and let you know, that would be great, let me know. But probably not, so make sure you follow our Facebook schedule for when we plan to do more live streams. Cutie. And Truman was out flying in the yard, the enclosed yard, of course, not just out loose outside. And he got a little bit tired and he wants to just get some head scratched and relax with me right now. Now, Keely and Rachel, on the other hand, they were flying even more than he was, so they're just pooped. They just want to relax in their cages and nap, but Truman is more of a playful mood and just wants to have his beak and head scratched right now.
I just got my Senegal parrot. And she's about 4.5 months old. I was wanting to know how and when I should begin training her.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, first of all, congratulations on your new baby Senegal. I remember it was almost 10 years ago when Kitty was a baby, but that was so new and different for me. Uh, I mean, on one hand, I wanted to get started training right away, and especially when you get a not so tame parrot, if the store breeder you got them from didn't do the best of jobs, maybe the bird doesn't want to step up for you or doesn't let you pet their head, and you kind of really feel impatient, really want to get something going. On the other hand, you also got to realize 4.5 months old. That bird is still a baby. And they're still developing. So it's really more than anything, it's a transition. By the time that bird is 1 year old, you could be doing all the training you want. 9 months old, some training. 6 months old, maybe just getting started. So don't rush and introduce it and see how the bird does. Try a little bit of target training. If the bird's picking up on it easily, great. If the bird has a bad attention span and only wants to do it 3 times and then runs away to do other things, don't push it right now because you'll upset the bird and kind of hurt your training down the line if you're too pushy with it. So, kind of like treating it like as a toddler or a baby that's not really ready to do training, and whatever you get is a cherry on top, it's a nice bonus. Take that training for now, and you can do a little bit more serious training when the bird is closer to 1 year old. For now, though, introducing that bird to as many different people, places, foods, objects as possible is the best thing you can do. When they get a little bit older, they get more shy about things, so introducing them to that stuff while they're a baby is even more important than the training. These parrots are great at training for their entire life after they've matured. So you've got years and years ahead that you could be doing training, but you only have a few months that bird will be receptive and open to trying new foods and exploring new people, places, and objects. So make sure you're introducing that bird to all different kinds of foods, all different kinds of toys and objects and places around the house. Get it familiar with different things for now. Hey, cutie.
Medicine Powers asks, is there a link to donate?
Donate to what, to me? Oh, I don't really take donations. I have a store. I make and sell parrot training supplies, like this tree that Truman's sitting on right here. I made that. So if you want to support Parrot Wizard and the videos and free content that I make, the best thing you can do is visit parrotwizard.com or parrotwizard.com/store and check out the different supplies I have and buy something that you'd like for your parrot. Or if you're looking to donate to a charity, my favorite is Ginger's Parrots, gingersparrots.org. It's based in Phoenix, Arizona, and she runs a rescue dedicated to Senegal parrots and cockatiels. And I'm all on board with what she does, and I try to help her out. And I think that she's really running a great model rescue for people. So if you're looking for a nonprofit to donate to, Ginger's Parrots Rescue is a legit 501c3, full-on nonprofit and a good cause to donate to.
Do you ship to the UK?
I do ship supplies. Some of the bigger things, like the trees, are really hard. The shipping gets egregiously high on things like that. But medium things, the training perches, the tabletops, my book, some of the toys I sell, that stuff all ships to the UK, no problem. And to get a quote for international shipping, what you just do is you shop on my store, and just like normal shopping, but at checkout, instead of typing in your address, you just click international, and I'll be able to calculate the shipping costs for your specific shopping cart and get you a quote, and that can be paid on PayPal. So you'll get directions. It's pretty easy to do.
Abby asks, my Senegal parrot is a little over 1 year old, and he constantly chewing my fingers. It makes me not want to take him out. Any suggestions to stop this?
All right, well, there's a few different ways about chewing fingers. There's biting in the sense that I don't want to be here, I'm uncomfortable. And then there's like, ooh, that looks like a toy, I want to feel it and play with it. So I call that one nipping, and the other one I call biting. So slightly different things going on. Hey, Truman, if I can borrow you for a second, when you're not too busy. You ready to come now, buddy? Now you see, Truman's not ready to come. He doesn't want to step up, so I'm not going to make him. I'm going to wait until he's ready. If I make him step up when he doesn't want to, now Truman's not going to bite because I never make him step up when he doesn't want to. But if I were to be pushy with him and make him uncomfortable and upset with me, that could eventually lead to biting behavior. So I don't have biting problems with my parrots because I don't make them get on my hand when they don't want to. So if it's a biting problem, avoid forcing your parrot onto your hand. Use target training, clicker training, and food and treats, and give your parrot a reason to want to be on your hand. Now, if it's a nipping problem, well, once Truman's done with his printing, come. Okay, now he's ready. Good job. When it comes to nipping problems, some things that I do is I tuck my fingers in real tight. Try not to give them too many different things to nibble on. So when you have your parrot sitting like this, they want to nibble on your thumb, they want to nibble on your finger, they want to touch your fingernails. When you start tucking that all in real tight, there's less places to nibble on. The other thing is, if it's a young bird and has a bit of a beak and wants to test different things out, instead of nibbling your hands, give them something that's better to nibble on, like a toy. Hey, Truman, look at that toy. Want to nibble on that instead? Now, Truman's kind of lazy right now in the middle of the day. He's not in a nibbling mood. In the mornings and evenings, he's more playful and plays with his toys, so he's not really into that right now. But for nipping, give him other things to nibble on. Keep your hands tight and closed so they can't get to you too much. But for biting, avoid making the parrot upset and let the parrot be the one that comes to you, and then they won't have a reason to bite you.
I have a Senegal parrot and I want to know how can I train him.
Alright, well, you've come to the right place because I've got Kitty, the 10-year-old Senegal parrot. She's not out with me right now. I got Truman here instead because Kitty was doing so much flight training earlier that she's tired and wants a break. But you've got hundreds of free videos, how I've been training Truman and Kitty on my Parrot Wizard video channel. However, browsing them on YouTube is pretty difficult. So what I recommend you do is you go to parrotwizard.com/videos. It's completely free. It's the same videos as on YouTube, but they're organized by date. So you can go and see my earlier video, how I was training Kitty. I was training Truman when I just got them. So if you go to that browser, you can see all the older videos and get a lot of free ideas from that. And if you want a more organized and complete approach, that's covered in my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots. That's available on my website or on Amazon, but you get free shipping and a free clicker and target stick if you get it on my site. So I've really put all my thoughts, all my experience from training Kitty, from training Truman, training Santina the rescue macaw, from working with loads and loads of customers and consultations, and all of my experience training all these different parrots, it's all combined in that book. And been teaching that at seminars and online for years since then, and it's been helping so many people. So check that out and apply that lifestyle to your parrot, and you can have that cuddly, friendly parrot that's just thrilled to be with you all the time if you follow that approach.
How do you train a lovebird?
I would say you train them the same way you train any parrot, and that's through the use of positive reinforcement and basic training. Like I keep telling people, I teach you how to do training in the book because there's a lot to it. It's not just training. There's different elements like what kind of diet birds. Still rolling. All right, bit of a technical glitch there. We're gonna have to keep in mind for the future. So about the lovebird training, besides everything else, target training is great. Target training is great for every parrot, and the little guys seem to be the best at it. Like the smaller the parrot, the budgies, cockatiels, lovebirds, green cheeks, those guys are fantastic at it. They really love it. They love following the target stick around and getting small little treats like millet or little safflower seeds. So it's a great way to get that parrot to be more active and used to following you and your hands around. Hands are pretty intimidating. I mean, look at these hands. Then the clicker and target stick to direct them where we want them to go and let them use their own feet and their own wings to go where we tell them to go. They're much more receptive and much more willing to play along. Hey, Truman, you want to come? Come here, bud. There we go. So, one more time, those of you joining us, we're just testing out the YouTube live streaming capability, trying to make sure we get all the settings right, that the sound is good, trying to find out how the video quality is. So please do give us your feedback. Let us know how it sounds. Let us know how the video quality is, how the stream quality is. how it's all coming through. We're planning to do some more streams outside soon and some more exciting things, but we're just trying to iron out all the details and make sure we can get this video conferencing working before we have our handful of 3 parrots and trying to do a lot more.
Can you guys come over to the UK and do the Think Parrot event next year?
Well, I would love to. I would hope that I can get in touch with the right people and organizers. The best thing you can do if you want to see us there is get in touch with the organizers of that event and also recommend us. Tell them that you'd like to see the Parrot Wizard there. I think that if they hear about it from multiple different people, they will take it more seriously and send me an invite. And I would love to come and meet all my fans in the UK. I know there's a good bunch of you. Truman's like, I can go on all day with these cuddles. This is funny because usually all I gotta do is put him down on this tree and he'll be playing with everything and chewing everything up, and he doesn't even care about the cuddles. But I think after all that flying outside, he's pooped and he wants to be pampered instead, don't you, Truman?
I have 2 green-cheeked conures, and when I call one of them, both come. How do I make just one of them come on command?
Okay, I'll give you one quick suggestion that totally works. And assuming you got to keep both of them out, and assuming you can't work with them one by one, you get 2 training perches. You set one of the conures on each of the training perches, and you give the first conure a big treat, something that takes them a few seconds, maybe 15 seconds to eat. Maybe a small nut, maybe a sunflower seed. It takes them a little while to open it. So while they're busy eating, they're usually not going to fly. So then you get the other one to fly, and then give that one a sunflower seed. Send them back to the perch. And by the time the first one is done, the second one finished the treat from before and is ready to fly. And you just alternate between them. Keep one busy with food while the other one is doing the flying, and then they can learn to take turns.
How do I get my big red green-winged chicken off my shoulder once she darts up there? She doesn't want me to touch her feet.
Well, the thing is, the reason that the parrots like to go on shoulders in the first place is because they're trying to avoid hands in the first place. So look at Truman. He is having a blast on my hands right now. He's getting all his head scratches and beak scratches. He's putting his beak in my hands himself because he's saying, come on, buddy, give me more of these. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. So if I put him on my shoulder, he's on my shoulder. That's the opposite of what he wants. He's like, well, this is boring. I'm not getting that. If I say, hey, Truman, want some more beak scratches? Come back here, bud. He'll come right off my shoulder and say, yeah, let me have that. And he'll put his beak back in my hands, and he's ready for more cuddles. So what you really got to do is focus on using positive reinforcement to make it so that being on your hands is so desirable that it's boring to be on your shoulder by comparison. You see, when people are, well, I'm not going to call it mean, let's just say step up, or if they're trying to put the bird in the cage when the bird doesn't want to go in the cage. All these different things end up working against you, and the bird ends up learning to resent hands because hands can be used to do things that are undesirable. Even if you give head scratches one time, but you stick the bird in the cage that it doesn't want to go into another time, it'll remember that, and that'll still work against you. But if you can set up your lifestyle in such a way that everything you want from that parrot is also desired by the parrot, so the parrot wants to go in the cage at the time when you want to put it in the cage, the parrot wants to be on your hand at the times when you want to be on your hand, etc., then the bird has no reason to not easily come off the shoulder and accept being on the hands. And the technique and the lifestyle that leads to the parrot being in the right mindset and you doing the right training for this to all work, that's explained in my book.
My blue and gold macaw hates it when I walk.
Okay, well, that's a pretty long and complicated topic too, but I'll try to give you a couple tips about that. First thing is toys. Lots and lots and lots of toys. We want that bird chewing up as many toys as possible. When they're chewing their toys, they're not chewing their feathers. So very important that, you're ready to go back on your tree. So in the cage, you're going to want to have a ton of toys for that bird. But it's not just enough to have the toys. they've also got to know what to do with them. The toys need to be easy enough that they're destroying them. The parrots, they're just naturally built to destroy stuff. They're going to be destroying things, whether it's their perches, their toys, or their feathers. So you got to make sure you give them toys that are easy enough that you come to that back home and you find a pile of toy pieces at the bottom of the cage. Because if you don't, it might be a pile of feathers. So make sure there's a pile of good things at the bottom and not a pile of feathers. So giving them stuff that's easy enough for them to succeed with is important. You don't want to get them a toy that's so difficult that they aren't able to break it, because then they'll go for something easier. Chelsea Weber asks, how do you train them to put beak in your fingers when they want scratches? Well, Truman's a little busy right now, so I'll try to show you that when he comes back for scratches. Tips for basic training on a rescue bird. I rescued a peach-fronted conure. He's 28, and I'm just wondering, what is the best thing I can start with to help him be more handleable? Oh, that's a great question, Sydney. So, well, first of all, it's great that you rescued a bird, and I think, in my opinion, and I know breeders and people who sell baby birds will disagree with me forever, but I don't think it really matters if you get a baby or an adult parrot. I've had Santina for a bunch of years, and she came from the rescue, and she was as bonded and loyal and great with me as these guys that I raised from a baby. The only reason she was rehomed had nothing to do with her, had to do with illness and other problems that behavior couldn't solve. But behaviorally, you could do everything with them, and it really comes down to using the right training approach that lets the parrot be comfortable with you. You can't be a predator to them. You see, their number one drive is to avoid predators. And as soon as you start being forceful with them and making them do something they don't want to do, whether that's getting on your hand or coming in the cage or coming out of the cage, when you're forceful with them, that makes them want to avoid you. It makes them think, oh no, that's a dangerous creature there, I got to stay away from them. In the wild, the only thing that ever puts their hands on a parrot is a hawk or a predator that's catching them, or maybe a smuggler. But they're not used to being held down or held or forced up or picked up. So that's something they've got to be taught, and it's really important to teach them to come to your hands themselves. You can't make them get on your hands. You have to ask them to come on your hands. So I want Truman to come to me and say, hey Truman, you want to come over here and step up? See, right now he's busy preening, so he's not that interested. He's not willing to come right now. However, if I maybe wait a little bit and see if when his mood changes and say, hey Truman, you want to come now? Oh, this time he came on his own. This time he came on his own, so that's the big difference. I don't make him get on my hand. Every time I would force him to get on my hand when he doesn't want to, that's negative points to my relationship. But if on the other hand, I use positive reinforcement and training to make it desirable to get on my hands by rewarding him when he does, that's plus points. And that's what ends up creating a relationship where you have a lot of good things that happen. Now back to the beak scratching question, the way basically it would work is I would start petting the birds on their head, and they enjoy it. But I kind of roll their head down while I'm petting, so that the beak has to be in my fingers while I'm petting. And when they pick it up, I stop. When they put it down, then I can continue. So they learn that they can actually ask for more, in terms of actually asking for beak scratches rather than pets. But I taught them that you got to put your beak down in my fingers before I will do the stuff for you. So your beak's up, you're not going to get any. You put your beak down, and now I'll give you the beak scratches or head scratches that you want. Now, the two reasons this is extremely helpful is, first of all, it gives the bird a great signal when they don't want anymore. Instead of biting you when you hit a pin feather, when they're tired and don't want anymore, all he's got to do is pick up his head, I'll stop. So before he even has to or needs to bite me, he can get me to stop by picking up his beak, so that eliminates the biting. The second reason this is great is that it gives him a way to tell me that that's what he wants. He doesn't have to bite me or be frustrated with me that I'm not giving him the head scratch or beak scratches he wants, because he can give me a signal. Lastly, this is also very helpful because if I want to have a visitor or somebody else be able to pet him, I can hold his beak and they're able to bring their hands in and give him a head scratch while his beak is occupying my hands. If he's going to be uncomfortable with somebody else scratching his head, he'll pick up his head, he'll pick his beak up out of my fingers first, and that'll be the signal to stop before he needs to bite anyone. So Truman never bites anyone for that reason. All right, Truman, here you go. Come back. All right, we've got a question. Hello, thanks for the stream. I'll be happy if you can help with my problem. I Do have two of my conures male. One always chases the female. One and she doesn't like that. How can I stop it? Well, I've got a female always chases the male, but they're different species. Kiki bosses Truman around. If they're not friendly with each other, you may end up having to keep them separate, keep them in separate cages, possibly even give them separate out of cage time. So if it's causing too much stress and uncomfort to the parrot, then you might have to start treating them as two separate parrots that aren't going to really be together. And well, maybe after you give them some space, they'll be a little bit more calm around each other in a more friendly way together. Hey, Truman, you gotta poop. Truman, go poop. Bet better he does it before I pick him back up. He has that look. We rescued our second macaw, Scarlet, last year, but he has become very territorial with our first macaw. Anytime I approach my blue and gold, Scarlet becomes very aggressive to me. Any suggestions? Yeah, that can be a bit of trouble. When I got Truman and Kitty was my first bird, there was definitely a bit of resentment, and it's very important to make the first bird feel very well taken care of and special. In fact, make them feel that the presence of the second bird is to their advantage, not disadvantage. The problem is that now that the second bird is here, the first bird has to share some of their attention and some of their territory and space and how much attention they get from you by the second bird being there. So they're being shortchanged the attention and things they'd be receiving otherwise. And what you got to do is actually let them feel that they're getting more attention as the result of this bird. That's a challenging thing to do, but if you use that to make them feel more special, it'll help them overcome that. Can I teach my 1-year-old budgie to like scratches and how? Yes, but it's not so simple. The budgies are so small that your hand, if you try to pet them with your fingers, it's like somebody rubbing a whole fist through your head. It's very big compared to the size of their head. So it really comes down to being very gentle. Maybe just using your small pinky finger, just very gently. Small if it's going to be a budgie. But if you're very patient and you use positive reinforcement, you make sure that they're getting something for it. So in the beginning, they might not enjoy the feeling of it. So in the beginning, I would give them millet. So I would, give them a little head scratch and then give them some millet spray. And then give them a little head scratch while feeding them some millet spray so that they can get used to the feeling. They're doing it just for the food in the beginning. But then you stop giving them the food, and if they still enjoy the head scratches, then you can just give the head scratches for the sake of head scratches. There's a question. My hyacinth is very clingy to me, hates her cage. It's big with tons of toys. How can I make her like the cage? I'm going to defer to the book on that one. It's part of how you set up your schedule and the way we treat the cage. Toys are a part of it, but a big part of it is also how you structure your day and how you teach them to come in and out of the cage and the relationship they have with the cage. It's a bit complicated to explain right now, but these guys love their cage. They'll hop off my hand right into their cage when I tell them to go back in. They have no trouble coming into the cage, no trouble coming out. It's really about having balance in your day. See, one of the problems is that most people make the mistake of making it so wonderful, so good to be out of the cage, that being in the cage is sucky by comparison. And I try to build a balanced lifestyle, balanced relationship, where being in the cage is just as nice and desirable as being out, so the parrot isn't being punished. It's not downgrading by going in the cage. It's just another fun thing to do. And if you keep that balance, then the parrot is very good at coming in or out of the cage for you, and you have a much better relationship for it. Molly Griffin says, what temperatures are safe to take my Senegal parrot outside in? I would say in Fahrenheit, anything between 50 and 90 degrees is just safe. You don't have to really worry about it too much. But anything less or more than that, it depends on what the bird is used to. So if you're taking your bird out regularly, getting them used to being outside, up to 100, as long as it's not in direct sunlight is okay, and down to maybe 40. But when you start getting to those more extreme temperatures, it really depends on them having chances to escape the heat or cold if they're uncomfortable, and being used to it. All right, I only have time for just a few more questions. This live stream went way past what I expected. But let's see, Chelsea Weber says, thanks for the stream. Found out about you last month and bought your book last week. Getting a red belly soon. Oh, well, congratulations. You know, make sure you follow these guys on the Trained Parrot Facebook page and send us pictures when you get your red belly and tell us how it all worked out. I'm really glad that you're reading the book before you're getting the parrot so that you know what to expect and you know the things to do. The first 2 chapters are just about how to pick a parrot and how to set up your home before you even take that parrot home. And what you do in the very first days you have it. See, when I was starting out, all the books and videos I read about would start with like, okay, you have this parrot, you have it out on the training stand, and like, how do you teach it to do this? And I was like, wait a minute, I don't even have the parrot out of the cage. How did you get there? And or what do I do when I just got home from the store and this bird is in the carrier and I don't know what to do with it? I have this cage, I have this bird in the carrier, but I've never held a bird in my hands before. How do I even get it to go into the cage? So even basic things like that are covered in the book. So it's really a great read, whether you're just planning to get a parrot or you already have one and you want to make things even better with your relationship. Miria Monas, it must be hard to train parrots, but it's amazing how to get them to do all these amazing stuff, good work, and keep doing what you're doing. Well, thanks very much. I'd like to say that, especially some of the more basic training, is actually not that hard. It's more about persistence. It's more about long term. Doing hours of training is not only unnecessary, it's counterproductive. Doing 5 or 10 minutes of training every day, 6 days a week, when you add that up for a whole year, you're talking about maybe 200, 300 training sessions in a year. In 300 training sessions, even a very small, minuscule, little effort, you can get so far with parrots. And when you multiply that by having them for 5 or 10 years, and this is part of your daily routine, you can go so far. So it's not about how hard you work, it's really more about how persistent you are and just making sure you're doing the right stuff. Alexandra says, how can I fly with my green cheek conure outside? Alexandra gets a harness and train your bird to come into you on command. Oh, somebody else answered. Sorry, it takes a while to figure out what's going on with all the comments. Yeah, using an aviator harness is first of all a must. Well, there is one other way. If you don't want to use an aviator harness, you build a big outdoor aviary the birds can fly in. Green cheeks are small enough. 10 by 10 foot aviary might be suitable, but we're talking thousands of dollars, and there's no benefit to your relationship from that. Now, free flying the green chick outside is just a recipe for disaster. Very high chance it could get lost or eaten by a hawk. Just not a reasonable risk to be taking. However, with an aviator harness, you can teach that bird to safely fly to you. And the way I recommend using an aviator harness is to teach the parrot to free fly with an aviator. What? Free fly, aviator? Aren't those two opposite things? Well, they don't have to be. You see, if you use an aviator harness like a chain, like a kite string to like hold the bird down from getting away from you, then you're not doing it quite the right way. The right way is to train the parrot to fly back to you reliably and not try to fly away, and not even rely on the aviator to keep that bird with you. Rely on your training and your relationship to keep that bird with you. And don't fly it as far as the leash goes. If you use a 20-foot leash, only fly that bird within a 10 or 15 foot radius. So you teach that parrot not to even try to fly to the end of the leash. Just fly in your proximity because it wants you. Use your training for that. And if you do things right, 99% of the time, that aviator harness doesn't stop that parrot from flying away. Your relationship and your bond stops that parrot from flying away. But the thing is that whether it's free flight or aviator harness, just sometimes something out of the ordinary will happen that will cause that parrot to fly away. And without an aviator harness, that parrot may be gone for good. That parrot might fly away so far, it might get so panicked, it can't find its way back to you. And such a small parrot, when it gets lost, it's like finding a very small piece of hay in a very big stack of needles. And the reason I say it's a very big stack of needles is because it's very, very painful when you lose a parrot. This guy, Truman here, got lost for a couple of days, and I was so devastated. I'm so lucky that I got him back. Now, I was deliberately free-flying him, and it was my fault. And, you know, these things can happen to anyone. So using an aviator harness and flying them as freely as possible within the confines of the aviator harness is really the best way. Michelle says, my 2 Amazons are very socialized, but when they together on the cage, they get along with each other, but aggressive toward me. Any suggestions? Well, don't try to interact with the birds on the cage. The best thing you can do is have separate places for them to go, tree stand or a training perch, some place that's more neutral, that's more people friendly. Parrots get weird on top of their cage. It's their territory. They kind of don't want you there. They're high. It's awkward. It's hard to get your hands up to where they are. I don't let my parrots on their cage tops. It leads to weird things going on. These guys are fine. They're trained. They'll come off the cage. But I try to keep them off there as much as possible because that's one of the places where misbehavior is more likely to occur. So having these tree stands that are lower and more comfortable. See, look how high this tree stand is. When I'm standing next to it, I can very easily interact with my parrot. He's not so high up like on top of the cage where it's awkward for me to reach there with my hands. So having a comfortable neutral place that's not a permanent territory for them is helps reduce some of that. Of course, training and everything else is also a big part. It can also be on the couch or on the floor also. Well, in that case, maybe they just not wanting to do what you want them to do at that moment. You want them on your hand, and maybe they want to chew on the couch or run around. They might have other plans at that moment. So see if doing some target training and using some treats can help you, where you can help convince the parrot that, hey, yeah, chewing on my couch might be fun, but being on my hand and doing tricks and talking and getting treats might be even more fun. So it's not about making the floor or the couch be a bad place. It's about making your hands an even better place than those places. All right, and it's time for us to wrap up here. Truman's getting sleepy. He's already got his foot up and he's getting ready to fall asleep there. Oh, but I think he needs one last head scratch before he goes. Truman, turn this way. So I just caught Truman scratching his own head. So I think he just wants one more goodbye head scratch. So anyway, thanks for joining my first live stream. It was really more than anything just to test how the equipment's working, how we can interact with our audience. And stay tuned. Pretty soon we're going to be doing our first announcement, a live announcement, and then I think probably Thursday. The current plan is 7 p.m. Thursday, but I'm going to reconfirm that soon, that we're going to be doing a live stream from Coney Island. So a few of the parrots are going to come out there with us, and it's going to be a truly interactive live stream. It's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be like you're there. You're going to be able to tell us and the parrots what you want to see them do. Do you want to see the parrots go and ride the Ferris wheel? Or do you want them to go and play in the sand by the beach? Or do you want to see them get a hot dog from Nathan's? We're going to be going around around Coney Island with the parrots, and you're going to be able to help us decide some of the activities that the parrots are going to get to do out there. So most likely this Thursday at 7, I'll be doing another YouTube announcement to confirm that for sure. And also make sure you follow on Facebook, facebook.com/trainedparrot, because there's going to be more details and announcements there. If we're running late with the live stream or anything's going on, we'll be posting updates there so that you know when you can come on a parrot outing to Coney Island with Keely Truman and Parrot Wizard. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'll make a comment section on the Facebook Trained Parrot page, so you can give me some more of your feedback about how the live stream worked, and you can also let me know what future live streams you'd want. So as soon as I get off, I'm going to make a post on the Trained Parrot Facebook page and welcome any more feedback about how the live stream worked out, any technical glitches or problems, anything you think I can improve with the delivery of the live stream, and any topics that you'd particularly like to see live streamed about in the future. So thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.